Thank you for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. What I've learned throughout my career, my business career specifically, is that the quality of your business is directly tied to the quality of the decisions that you're in fact making. And I'm not just talking about the big decisions, I'm talking about all decisions. And even more importantly, your willingness to make these decisions actually matters most. Today, we're going to do an audit. It's been a little while since I've run one of these quizzes here at No Days Off, but I think they're always fun and they always give us an idea as to where we stand on a specific topic. And so today, we're going to talk about decision making. We're going to do the decision making audit. 7 questions I wrote, and I want you to score yourself, and I want you to do so as honestly as possible. You're going to give yourself a 0, a 1, or a 2 for each one of these questions. And then we're going to add it up at the end and we'll see where you stand. And of course, there will be an action item or so. So make sure you grab something to write with or record on your phone. Here we go. Okay. Question number 1. Here's the question. When a significant decision comes up, be it a hire or a fire or a financial commitment, do you have a clear process for how you'll approach it? Now, give yourself a 0 if you figure it out differently every single time with no real structure. Give yourself a 1 if you have some loose habits, but nothing all that consistent. Give yourself a 2 if you actually have a repeatable process. You know how to gather input, you know how to weigh options, and you know when you'll decide. So a 0, 1, or 2, when a significant decision comes up, do you have a clear process for how you'll approach it? Question 2. Do you have advisors, be it a coach or a mentor, a peer, that actively consult on hard decisions? Do you have advisors that you actively consult on hard decisions? 0 if you mostly figure it out alone. 1 if you have people but really don't call them all that often. And a 2 if you have a go-to group or person and you actually leverage them, you actually use them. Score yourself a 0, 1, or 2. Question 3 of 7. Before you make a big call, are you clear on whether it's reversible or permanent? Before you make a big call, before you make a big decision, are you clear on whether it's reversible or permanent? 0 if you rarely think about it. A 1 if you think about it sometimes. And a 2 if that distinction is a regular part of how you decide. Question 4. How often do decisions in your business get made by default? Nobody decided, maybe time ran out, and the outcome just happened. So how often do decisions in your business get made by default and the outcome just happened? Give yourself a 0 if that's pretty common. Give yourself a 1 if it happens occasionally. Give yourself a 2 if it's rare and you catch it early. Question 5 of 7. Hopefully you're grading yourself here. You're probably seeing a pattern. Question 5. Are there decisions sitting on your desk right now that you know need to be made, but you haven't made them? Are there decisions sitting on your desk right now that you know need to be made, but you haven't made them? Give yourself a 0 if there's 3 or more decisions sitting on your desk right now that you haven't made. Give yourself a 1 if there's just 1 or 2 that you've been circling. And give yourself a 2 if your decision queue is pretty darn clean. Question 6. 2 more questions here. Question 6. When emotions are high, be it conflict or financial pressure or a personnel issue, can you slow down and make a clear-headed call? When emotions are high, can you slow down and make a clear-headed call? You give yourself a 0 if you usually react in the moment. Give yourself a 1 if you've gotten better, but you still struggle a bit under pressure. And lastly, give yourself a 2 if you consistently create some space before you decide. And question 7, the seventh question, the final question of our decision-making audit. Do the people on your team Do they know what decisions they're empowered to make without you? Do the people on your team know what decisions they're empowered to make without you? 0, if everything must run through you. 1, if it's loosely defined. And 2, if your team has clear decision authority and they utilize it, they use it. Okay, now take a moment to add up your scores. Add up all the scores, the zeros, the ones, and the twos that you gave yourself. Now, if you scored between a 0 to a 4, I'm going to call that avoidance mode. Decisions are likely piling up for you, and there's a really, really good chance that your business is paying for it. The bottleneck is probably not your market or your employees or your lead generation funnel. The bottleneck, unfortunately, might be you. Now, the good news here is this is fixable, but you have to start making some decisions. If you scored a 5 to 9, you're what we would call a reactive decider. You are making some moves, but mostly when you're forced to. You probably have some decent instincts, but what you need is a process, something that gets you to the decision faster and more consistently. So you're a reactive decider if you're a 5 to 9. And if you're a 10 to a 14, I'm going to call you an intentional operator. You've probably built a real decision-making muscle, and this is a good thing. You move with a bit more clarity. You use your people appropriately. You're not letting indecision drain your business. You've got to keep sharpening these tools in this process, but you're clearly intentional. So you know where you sit. You're either in avoidance mode, you're a reactive decider, or you're an intentional operator. Whatever the case, no matter where you scored, you now have awareness. And here's the action item for everybody here. Again, number 1, check in on your awareness. You probably know based on the questions I asked, the way you scored, some moves you have to make. But here's something I want everybody to do. I want you to write down the one decision that you've been sitting on the longest. Just one. Maybe you've been sitting on a lot of them for a while, but pick one decision that you've been sitting on for the longest and then give yourself a deadline. Let's call it 72 hours. And then make the call, make the decision. It may not be perfect. It might not have all of the information you desire, but make the call. Because here's the truth, and this is what I've personally learned. Indecision is actually still a decision. Indecision is still a decision. It's just one you didn't choose. So take this awareness, focus on those areas that stood out to you to make yourself a better, more intentional decision maker, a more intentional operator, and aim to get better here. Because again, the quality of your business is going to be a function of the decisions that you are in fact making or not making. That's all I have for you today. The No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.